Hello, I'm Steve and welcome back to Book 2 of the Ielts. For Lesson 4 of Chapter 2, we're going to discuss how to describe past events and experiences. Describing past events or experiences requires telling stories. In the Ielts speaking exam, you will need to tell stories in Part 1, Part 2 and sometimes in Part 3. Being a good storyteller is an advantage because you will sound more convincing during your talk. Ideally, there are 4 steps in telling a story. Study these steps to help you construct an answer that will surely get you a high score in Part 2. The first thing you should do is to mention what type of event or experience it was. The questions might ask you about a competition, journey, party, festival, story you heard or read, and work or school experience. To help you prepare for the subsequent steps, you have to know what events or experiences are under each category. Here are some examples of events and experiences under each category. Take a look at these phrases, which can be helpful in starting your answer. Next is to state when it happened. It's important to use accurate prepositions and time phrases to explain when it happened. You can be specific or unspecific. For specific time frames, here are some examples. For general time frames, here are some examples you can use in describing an event or experience. The verb tense is important when talking about events and experiences. Your accuracy will be affected if you use an incorrect tense or if you're inconsistent with the tenses you used. Since we're talking about the past in this task, one of the most appropriate combination of tenses to use is past continuous and past simple. Another combination of tenses that you can use is the past perfect and past simple. When these two tenses are used, it means the former action was already done before another action. Review the structure of these tenses. Step 1 should consist of at least 2 sentences, including the introductory phrase. Here is an example of Step 1 and how the points we discussed were used. We often use the passive voice to state where an event happened. To refresh your memory, here is the structure and some samples. In addition, an accurate preposition should be used along with the location. Review the most common preposition of place you could use during your talk. Here are some examples of how prepositions should be used with location. To complete your answer for this step, you have to mention who were involved in this event or experience. Using a simple sentence is acceptable in introducing people who you were with in the event, but it's encouraged that you change the structure of your sentence to get a higher score. To do so, use a relative clause. It would not only change the structure of your sentence, but also give more information about the people you're talking about. Here are some examples. To complete your answer in this step, use the passive voice along with prepositions of place and relative clauses. Look at this example. Remember that if you're going to mention a specific place that is probably unfamiliar to the interviewer, you need to give its general direction. For example, if you're going to say that the event happened in your hometown, you need to state whether your hometown is located north, south, east or west of the country or the capital city. The most challenging part in telling a story is sequencing events. Remember to include only the important details in your talk. Do not try to make a very long story because you have to answer other sub-questions too. When describing a past event, you need to use cohesive devices that will give direction to your story. The simple past is the most suitable tense to use in your answer for this step. Here are some cohesive devices you can use in sequencing events. There will be times when you need to talk about a story, film or play, or quote something that has been said by someone. When this situation arises, you can use direct or indirect speech. Direct speech is used to recite the exact words said by someone. It uses quotation marks, which signals you to make a short pause. Here is an example of a direct speech. Indirect speech expresses the content of a statement. The tense of the sentence changes. It uses reporting verbs such as say, tell, and ask, and sometimes use the relative pronoun that. Here's an example of an indirect speech. With the use of simple past and some cohesive devices, you'll be able to come up with a good answer. Look at this example. The last part is to explain what's special about it or how you felt when it happened. Remember to use the synonyms of simple adjectives to feature your range of lexical resource. Here are some of the words you can use. You may also mention the lesson that you learned from this event or experience and how it affected you. To help you do this, use the third conditional and present perfect tense. You can use the third conditional and present tense, which has the following structure. This is the structure of present perfect tense when used to express importance. Step 4 will serve as your conclusion. A good choice of cohesive devices can sum up your experience. Using phrases such as in conclusion and to conclude might not be accurate in some answers. Instead, you can use some of these expressions. Step 4 will only be composed of a couple of sentences. Look at this example. When all 4 steps are put together, the answer for cue card questions about events and experiences will look like this. Remember that the structure of your answer might change depending on the type of question you're given. Always take note that in every task you're given, you have to choose the right cohesive devices, vocabulary and grammar to deliver a good answer. That's the end of today's lesson. Review your notes and good luck with your practice. See you next time. Bye.